love will still remain. So do what you want, baby. You and me in the sun. Know that I still be here when the day is done. So come a little bit closer, and I'll tell you what I feel inside. You know I'm gonna wait on you. I'm gonna wait on you. You know I'm gonna wait on you. Yes, I'm gonna wait on you. No one's gonna love you like I do. So glad that I found you. You're the missing piece, the last piece of the puzzle. I'm finally at ease. So when times are rough and the promises we make just seem so hollow and weak, and we're about to break, we have to remind ourselves, 'cause we know how we feel inside. You know I'm gonna wait on you. Ain't over till it's over. I'm gonna wait on you. I'm gonna love it till it's gone. You know I'm gonna wait on you. And the rain
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
I was talking with a friend the other day, and I was speaking about how good it was to grow up in the Black community. It was something that was such a joyous experience until you realize all of the things that surround us in this country that are constantly attempting to attack the beauty of what it is to be Black in America. The reality of it is that we're dealing with a nation so mired in white supremacy that we can't even get to the truth. What is truth? We are so far gone in this country that truth itself has fallen in the street. We're going to discuss that today. But first, On the Clock with Georgia Ford.
New information announced Thursday has revealed some alarming details in the case of Winston Smith. Thursday afternoon, attorneys for the only eyewitness in the killing of Winston Smith announced that they will be filing a lawsuit against all law enforcement agencies that were involved in his death. As you may know, we've been covering this story. June 3rd, Winston Smith was shot and killed by a deputy who was a part of a federal task force. And what we learned was that federal task forces are not required to wear body camera footage. In fact, because a lot of them identify as undercover agents, they're encouraged not to. So here in this case, Winston Smith, who was a father of three and a very well-known comedian, there's very little evidence to corroborate the narrative that has been put forth by law enforcement. In fact, the initial narrative was that he was a murder suspect. We found out later that that was not true. That was inaccurate. The other information that was used to justify his death was law enforcement saying that he had a gun. However, we learned from the attorneys of the only eyewitness that, in fact, he didn't have a gun. Take a listen at what they said yesterday during this press conference.
While yelling commands for them to put their hands up, multiple armed people targeted their weapons upon Miss Oscar and Mr. Smith. Our client complied with their commands, scared for her life. Mr. Smith had a mobile device and began to Facebook Live. As he raised his phone, all Miss Oscar could hear was gunfire and saw Mr. Smith's body slump over.
Law enforcement has a duty to announce themselves, and the selection of undercover officers to execute a warrant, knowing that they're required to announce themselves, is a clear display of incompetence. The BCA has informed us that they also failed to take gunshot residue tests from the body of Mr. Smith.
So according to the only eyewitness, Winston Smith didn't have a gun. He pulled out his cell phone, which is what law enforcement perceived to be a gun. And as you heard the second attorney say there, they failed to take any testing of gun residue from his hands to use as evidence to prove that he did have a gun, if in fact he did. So all of these things now painting a very problematic picture, Ben.
Yeah.
A very problematic picture.
Yeah, I think I think this cuts right, Georgia, to what we've already begun to discuss is, will this system deal honestly with us? Because, you know, if the truth is this brother didn't have a gun, then say that. And let's govern ourselves accordingly. Let's do what is appropriate, because your system has yet again shot another unarmed Black man. And this system is quite literally designed to be able to gun us down, to kill us in the streets, and then assassinate our character in the press. And we've seen it every stop, Georgia. You've been, like you said, you've been covering this. We've been talking about this at every stop, even with the initial media reporting on this story from day one. After they killed an unarmed Black man, they vilified his character in the press.
And, when you compile that with just the facts, let's just stick to the facts of the case. And they have failed to present anything that points to the claims that they're making about him. And so it is very frustrating for a community. And you have to think that this actually happened just a few miles away from where George Floyd was killed. And just a year later. In fact, Winston Smith was killed on the same day that the city went into George Floyd Square, the intersection where George Floyd was killed, and removed barricades forcefully. And so a lot of people originally, when Winston Smith was killed, they were wondering, because he was misidentified as a murder suspect, they were wondering if he was the person who was responsible for the gun violence that had been occurring in North Minneapolis. Right. So people were like, wow, maybe law enforcement's finally doing their job. Maybe they caught the murder suspect who killed 2 children and injured another. But that was not true. And so in this case, what we've seen for the family is them demanding transparency, them demanding just the simple truth about this case, and they have not been able to get that. The other thing that raises a lot of questions is the fact that Winston Smith, he had a warrant, he failed to show up at court, and this federal task force was actually out executing a warrant on someone else, and either couldn't find them or went to the wrong address or something. And so they just made a pit stop and decided to come and find Winston Smith after he posted on his social media that he was out on a date with this woman who was in the vehicle with him when he was killed. And so it wasn't even on their to-do list. It wasn't a deliverable for their day. It wasn't anything that was on their agenda. It just so happened to be kind of like this weird pit stop that they made. And to be at the top of a parking ramp and say that there's no footage, you in parking ramps that they have surveillance on every floor, every level. If you had almost a dozen unmarked vehicles, and that is also problematic, because if you think about unmarked, Ben, what would you do if 12 vehicles that were not police cars rolled up on you? Would you automatically assume? I mean, because most brothers, let's be real, they're going to think that they're being robbed, or, I don't think that the first thought would be that these are law enforcement officers. Right. And so we heard the attorney even say that these cops did not identify themselves. So Winston Smith didn't know what type of situation he was walking in. 2 other things. A dozen unmarked cars, and none of them had their body cameras rolling. None of them. And the attorney said that Winston Smith grabbed his phone to go Facebook Live. What happened to that video? What happened to that video? So lots of questions following this press conference yesterday and this new information, because at this point, as a journalist, when you're digging for the truth and you're looking for these facts to present both sides of the story, it is, and community leaders are calling this a cover-up. It doesn't add up. The facts and the evidence in this case simply, they just don't add up. It doesn't make sense. If you're saying he had a gun, why wouldn't you test his hands for the residue so that you have the evidence to hold up in court, since you don't have any footage? And how don't you have any footage?
Exactly. How is it that it's so convenient to kill a Black person in this country that you conveniently do not have the footage of? If anything else had happened at the top of that parking garage, there would be footage, as you already alluded to, Sister Ford. This is really fascinating in a terrifying kind of way, because we're really at the point where it's really clear that this system has gotten really adept at getting away with murder. And look at how many different parts of the system are complicit with it. from the initial media narrative about Winston Smith being so wrong that it was wrong in the exact way that would neutralize the group of people who would normally stand up and say, hey, justice for Winston Smith. But the media conveniently puts out a narrative that absolutely obliterates that momentum. That's because the second a white person in this country finds out that that black person wasn't an angel, all of a sudden they move on to the next story. And here we have the media being complicit with that, all the way to the fact that him dying in the first place. You know, why is the system so cavalier with their execution of justice that they would just see this brother on social media and then turn around and say, oh, let's go pick him up? Why are you watching his social media? And why is that such a comfortable thing for you to simply say in this nation's why at what point? Yes, he was supposed to be at court, but at what point is it to say this man is living his life and you are going to now take that information as an opportunity to kill him, not to arrest him, not to serve the warrant, not to get him into the whatever your justification for going there, the result was killing him because you saw that he was out on a date on social media. There's a serious problem in this country.
Absolutely. And I want to encourage people, right? People always say, well, what can I do? I want to encourage you, the next time you see police interaction, just pull over and start recording in case they're not. Because that is what is required in order for people to believe. And let's be clear, Ben, there is a number of white allies who stood for George Floyd who will never stand for Winston Smith because there's no video account. And so they don't have the visual evidence to prove that law enforcement is lying. So let's just be clear. Video evidence is required in order for a certain portion of this nation to be outraged at the fact that unarmed black men continue to be killed in broad daylight. And so what you can do the next time you see a police interaction, and I don't care if nothing happens, get out your car, or if you're walking, just volunteer 10, 15 minutes, be a citizen journalist and just document and record what happens, because you don't know. Think about that. Had Darnella Frazier not stopped what she was doing and volunteered 8 minutes and 46 seconds, because that's how long her video was. If she had not volunteered 8 minutes and 46 seconds of her time to film George Floyd's interaction with police, none of us would have known that he died from a knee on his neck. And you know why, Ben? Because of the fact that the city had a camera across the street that captured, if you remember during the trial, the city had a camera across the street that captured the incidents where you couldn't even really see the details of what happened. And the first narrative from police, John Elder, the PIO for the Minneapolis Police Department, put out a press release to the media. And the first narrative about George Floyd before Darnella's video went viral was a man died due to medical complications during an interaction with police. And so had it not been for Darnella Frazier, even though we know it lasted 9 minutes and 29 seconds, had it not been for Darnella Frazier filming on her phone for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, we to this day would have been led to believe that Derek Chauvin had nothing to do with George Floyd's death. And in fact, that he died from whether it was COVID or a big heart
Fentanyl.
or there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's the narrative that they want to, because this system has mastered the art of dehumanizing us. It is nothing for them to vilify Winston Smith, because they were able to do it with George Floyd, except for that young sister who suffered a deep, lasting trauma. every person who sat there and saw what happened to George Floyd, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't finish watching the video. I couldn't. I simply could not. Now imagine being the people there, seeing it happen, and being that sister recording it. But I know that sister, I don't know her personally, but I'm confident that she would do it again and again and again to ensure that Black people can get some justice in this country. And so, Sister Ford, what you're saying in terms of how we can get active, that's critical, because they can get away with murder if we let them and we don't film them.
Yeah, absolutely. And we think, or we thought, that having legislation in place that requires them to use their body cameras, you know, either they're turned off, or I accidentally bumped it, it was broken, it shut down, or then we find these loopholes where legitimately federal task forces are encouraged to not use their body cameras because of the fact that they are undercover. So what I don't understand about being undercover and that being used to justify not using your body camera is, can't you, because they control the video, so it's not like it would get out there before they would have the opportunity to blur out anybody's face.
Right.
You know, so it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. And the more and more we learn about the Winston Smith case, the more and more alarming it gets, the more and more concerning it gets. And so with this lawsuit, I will continue to follow it. We anticipate that there's going to be some developments, potentially a response. Ramona Doman, who was appointed by the Trump administration, is currently the head of the federal task force in Minnesota, who is leading this charge. Community leaders have been calling for her to resign. They've showed up to her house protesting. She was actually escorted out by the federal government, came and escorted her out of her home during that protest. But she has yet to even make a statement on this. In fact, and we can wrap this up here, the governor, we were told, the governor reached out to DC, reached out to the Biden administration to get more clarity on this case, on the federal task force, and on Ramona Doman, period. And the governor of the state of Minnesota has not received any response back from the Biden administration on this federal task force. And Ramona Doman has failed to make any comment on this case. So the lack of transparency or even acknowledgement of wrongdoing is very blatant. And so I think the community is hoping with this lawsuit being filed that potentially there could be some pressure applied to these agencies to come forward. But at this point, it just feels like the investigation is botched because they have not done their due diligence in even collecting the evidence that's needed before Smith was buried. You know, and so, but we'll continue to follow this. I don't know, Ben, if there's anything else that you want to add before we wrap up on it.
You know, I'm just thinking about this, and you know, one thing that is helpful in getting the truth out is, in addition to technology, because even if the technology like we're using right now, even if this technology wasn't here, they're small papers, Black press papers all across the country that, and I'm thinking of the West Side Gazette in Pompano Beach, Florida. There, if not for Black voices who have been like a laser focusing on the good of the Black community, none of these stories would have ever been told throughout our history, because this system is adept at not only dehumanizing us, but rewriting the history. This is why they fear critical race theory so much, Georgia. And as I think about those members of the press, I'm also thinking, honestly, you can come back to the two-shot, Dwayne, about you and your work and your you have a dogged determination around these stories. And I noticed that when we first ran into each other in the algorithm, we like to joke about, but you have a laser-like determination on stopping people from killing Black folks, whether it be cops or any other group. And I'm curious, like, I think the audience is curious. What drives you in that way?
Ben, that's a great question and something that I constantly ask myself. And I think from time to time it changes. But ultimately, at the end of the day, my husband's Black. My father's Black. I'm biracial, but being that I identify strongly with my Black heritage and I unapologetically tell Black stories, I've paid a price for that. And so I don't feel like I have the privilege to sit at home and do nothing. I also have 3 Black daughters. And I am terrified to think that, when I look at my oldest, she could be the next Sandra Bland. And having met so many mothers also, I think is another way that I was pulled into this work. I lost my first daughter, passed away when I was 19. And so I always had a heart for other mothers who had lost a child and wanting to give back and help in any way. And so when I transitioned into news, it became very apparent that my work was much bigger than me because I, for some reason, oftentimes would be the reporter that would be interviewing the mother the same day her son had been shot and killed, and whether that was by police or by another member in the community. And so we would have conversations, and sometimes we would have prayer, and we would share tears and memories of our children. And so for me, it became also a way to heal from a very, very challenging time in my life, a very challenging loss. And I think it's important when you suffer a loss that significant that you do find those outlets and those ways to connect and find purpose in your pain, right? And then it started to evolve and expand because when I was no longer in mainstream media, I didn't necessarily have the response or the ability to connect with these families so immediately. And so then it became more grassroots. And I realized that I had the journalistic chops to investigate a lot of these stories in ways mainstream media cannot. Because a lot of times they actually, like we saw, get it wrong in Winston Smith's case, or they have editors or news directors that omit information from their reports. And because I've seen that happen, and that happened to the story I was covering about, I believe his name was Laquan in Columbus, Georgia, who was shot by police. There was information about the officers who shot him that was omitted from my report. So this happens, and having had those experiences in mainstream media, I realized that there's actually a huge opportunity for me to leverage being an independent journalist to get these stories right. And so that's why I do it, because there's a sense of responsibility and duty that I have to do this work. And it's my contribution to making our society better, especially for our children.
Those children, man, the things we do for our children, which is so funny, not in a ha-ha way, but in an ironic way, that one of the prevailing narratives about Black people in this country is that we don't care about our children. But listening to the passion in your voice, and as you frame why you do what you do what you do not only for your children, but for all of us. Not in some grand, spectacular, magnanimous, but no, it's just like you're doing a work, just like I'm doing a work, just like the rest of the team. We're doing a thing. And we're literally doing it, if not for our children, we're doing it for the children of our brothers and our sisters and our family and our tribe. And if pardon the crassness, but if these white folks would listen to Black people, we could actually help them do it for their children too. Because this country is not kind. These people are not kind to each other here. They're not. I mean, the stuff that we've had to cover, the stuff that you've covered. I mean, the shootings the mass shootings at elementary schools that we've had to cover. The the atrocities that we've had to cover have chipped away at our souls. And here the thing is, we're just covering it. And part of what I appreciate about your work, Georgia, is that when you cover it from a perspective of empathy, not from the perspective of clicks. And I think that's one of the levels of freedom that independent media has given all of us.
Absolutely. We know that mainstream media is a business first, and we've seen how that turns out to be problematic as well. It makes me think about one of the stations here has this, what they call formulaic way to do headlines on Twitter, which is sunshine emoji headline, sunshine emoji headline, sunshine emoji headline, right? And maybe the weather's in there somewhere. So one of the community leaders here called them out because their second headline was about a 6-year-old who had been killed. Right. And then it was also an update on COVID. And then it was, how to prepare your cabin for the summer. And it lacks so much empathy, right? And it was very telling of the dynamic between white Minnesota and black Minnesota.
Yeah. Wow.
And so they got called out for it, and they issued an apology. But in their apology, they said, we understand our formulaic approach to headlines is insensitive. And so how do we raise the bar, raise the standard for mainstream media? Because ultimately, in total, they have such a far reach. They have an international reach, right? So legacy media will always have the attention. They'll always have the stage. But how do we raise the standard and make them have more integrity with the work that they do? The running joke, and this is so disgusting to even regurgitate this, but the running motto in the newsrooms are, if it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah.
Where is the compassion in that? I mean, people, because you go in these news cycles and you have, even thinking about the story of the 215 children who were found, the indigenous children who were found in Canada in a boarding school, and you have news cycles that are of that and a triple homicide and the police kill someone, all of these negative things. You stay in this business for 20 years and see how desensitized you become to violence and death, right? And so how do we normalize people in the media going and getting the mental health care that they need, right? How do we normalize a journalist saying, this is too far, this is too much, I'm not doing it? How do we normalize that?
Yeah, because there was and actually, you know what? I'll tell this story in the next segment. We're at 8:30 Eastern, and we want to switch over. We want to move on. Georgia, you have some time to hang out with us this morning?
Absolutely.
Oh,
I'd love to.
Absolutely. Would love to. We're going to be joined by DJ Exclusive momentarily, Brother Carl Mack. We are still waiting on Rebecca Azor to come back from vacation. But we got a good thing going on here. Let's take a break. When we come back, we have a lot more to cover, but I want to expand this conversation, and I want to bring in some of the voices you have come to love on this channel, The Benjamin Dixon Show. Like it or not, coming up after this.
Good morning, people. Good morning. Just the talking and running my mouth, and my stuff is on mute. Good morning, people. Welcome again. Make sure that you get your coffee, your tea, your drink, whatever it is you need. Like it or not, it's coming up next, y'all. Good morning, everybody.
Granddaddy stumbled through the bar. Well, he said, give me some love, give me some love, give it all. His breath really said it all.
Shout out to Antoine Simpson, who sent us a super chat saying, good morning all to my black people. Please be careful out there. Let's keep fighting violence against us. Violence against us is wrong and must be called out. Shout out, man. We appreciate you, Antoine Simpson, man. Good morning, everyone. Shay T, good morning. Nat A, Roland Dragon, Alicia, Brother Tyler, good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Mark S, Peter Low Frequency, Patricia, good morning. Brother Diallo, good morning. Shout out Jam Tomb on Twitch. Jam Tomb said they want us desensitized, so we take the excuses for why again. They need to make us turn away and think violence would do it. And also she says you still never see this real detail until you watch the body cams and see DC applying pain to GF wrist the entire time, including after there was no pulse. DC knew the second Mr. Floyd was gone, he knew he killed him when he stayed there, and it's exactly what he wanted to do. Exactly. And Deborah John on Facebook, thank you for your stars, 200 cents. Georgia is great in educating your viewers with facts. Shout out, we appreciate you. Yes, it is. Oh. Esther, good morning. Savage, sweetheart. Y'all make sure tonight you have your face in the place. Your face in the place. Patron party is going down tonight. You do not want to miss it. It is the first of the month, the second of the month, but it is the beginning of July. So we're going to make sure that we rock y'all good, man. Make sure that you have your face in the place tonight. Patron party. Make sure you stand by for the emails, y'all, coming out soon. My brother Industrial Arts, good morning. Good inside. Sophia, good morning to you. Tiger Katsune, good morning. Thank you for your super chat. Y'all see the story about the Marine planning violence on black folks and the DNCCC? Man, I don't feel safe outside my front door. Facts, Tiger. That's why I stay my ass in the house these days, man. Just so much going on. Safe on my other side of my door. Hate to be like that. Anna, good morning. Laura, good morning, y'all. Six Dragon Daddy, what's going on? It's a name. Courtney, good morning, good morning. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in. Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, wherever you streaming from, y'all, we appreciate you. Make sure you hit that like button, y'all, and share the stream. Let's get these algorithms up and break YouTube, y'all. Let's do it. Truth the Dragon, good morning. Did you say your heater is on? Oh my gosh, man, my air conditioner is on 60. Brenda Johnson, good morning. Melanie, good morning, y'all. Christopher Bobo, good morning. Michael, I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Six Dragon Daddy, make sure the dancing baby is in the building. Mark from Australia, good morning. Roller Dragon, good morning. Braff 1984, good morning, Susan. Nat A, good morning, good morning. Shout out to my nephew Kane. Good morning, Kane. Shoot the Dragon, I appreciate you. Brother Lateef, good morning, sir. Hope your birthday was everything, my guy. Melanie Dennis, I'm lying. That's what I keep mine at, 75, 77, more like it. Pixie on the moon, good to see you. Sunday Wright, good morning. Chuck Diesel, I know you in there somewhere dancing. Jacob, good morning. Ooh. Dwayne, when you talking to me, I could not hear you, sir. Okay. Good morning again, everybody. Make sure that you stay tuned. Got Like It or Not coming up yet. Band of Strays, good morning. Luann, good morning, good morning. Make sure that you make sure you have your face in the place this evening, y'all. This evening is going down. Patron party going down tonight. Willow Nighthawk, good morning, good morning. Good morning, mama. Love you, see you. Good morning, Pop. All right, y'all. Afraid not. Good morning. Y'all, welcome back to the screen. Georgia and Ben.
Hey. Welcome back. James exclusive, DJ exclusive. Good morning to everyone, actually. Everyone in Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, all the different places that you are streaming and listening. If you're listening to the podcast after the fact, thank you for downloading. And go ahead and give us a review on iTunes, Apple, iPods, iPods. Plural. Well, you know what I mean. The podcast section. I'm a boomer. This is what I get for trying to sound like I can be, I'm getting old. Yeah, I give up. Point is, good morning, James. How you doing, man?
I caught you in the middle. Doing good. In the middle of the coffee, but it's all right. Everything's
Sorry,
good.
I didn't see
doing this morning?
Because I don't have you got to realize I don't have the computer in front of me. Like all I have in front of me, like both of you, is we're literally just staring into cameras, the computer, the screen. So I didn't see you. Reaching for your coffee. Otherwise, I would have gone to Sister Georgia first. But good morning, Georgia. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. My coffee hasn't arrived yet. My
Your
husband, he
coffee.
brings me coffee in the morning. Yeah, so
Oh,
I'm
Right.
still waiting.
you know what? And then that is awesome. Because I mean, truth is, my wife brought me my coffee this morning too, and Faye, if you're watching, I already ran through the entire cup. So anyway, no, I digress. There's a lot for us to talk about this morning
You'll
besides
ask
me
for a
getting
refill.
myself in trouble. Let me
Right.
be quiet before I get myself in trouble and the whole show is canceled, right? I digress. June job reports show a gain of 850,000, better than expected. The Labor Department data follows several promising signs about the economic outlook. This just literally came to me from the New York Times. And the thing about this, though, is while this headline is very positive and we're talking about it, and it is exciting to see that some jobs are coming back, and this is how this is going to be credited to Joe Biden and to some degree, to whatever extent he has impact on it. Congratulations. This is a good report. This is a good report. But nestled in the report, and the reason I wanted to talk about it, even though it's just breaking now, is in the middle of that New York Times report. It says, at the moment, more than 6 million fewer jobs exist than before the pandemic. Millions of people have dropped out of the labor force. However, and quote, job openings far outnumber the applicants, said Karen Fitchik, chief executive of the staffing company Randstad North America. And this is the last thing she said. She said, it is truly across the board right now, talking about the plight of people who are jobless, millions. Georgia, James, like this is real. This is real life. This is one of the things that shook me up the most about this pandemic was the fact that we could see this country shed millions of jobs and our government not do anything about it. Not for real. Like, thank you for the stimulus checks, but these people are still unemployed, Georgia.
So
Well, and I think that there's a mix too between like how many people actually want to go back to work.
yes.
You know, I think that some people are tired of capitalism. Some people are tired of the rat race. They're tired of code switching. And what the pandemic taught a lot of people is that they don't need the job. And
Right.
even I think back to not being able to get maternity leave with my younger two children, and speaking to our local policymakers and saying, if you guys don't fix this, people are going to start to opt out. Because if you can do it on your own and you can earn a living without all of these restrictions and guidelines and control of your family planning and, you know, all of these oversteps that employment laws are allowed to do. Once people came to that realization that they don't need a job in order to live and they had to find alternative ways, then that's exactly what they started to do. So why would you want to go back to clocking in? And oftentimes, think about this, man, when you're getting these salaries, you are required to work an infinite amount of hours. You don't have work-life balance. And then on the other side of that, if you're not salaried, oftentimes you're not getting a livable wage anyways.
Right.
James.
The reason why that they're saying that employment is back on the rise and jobs are back on the rise because y'all cut off these damn unemployment benefits. So now people have no choices but to go back to work. They ended a lot of benefits for a lot of people, and I know a lot of those people that they ended them for, and some of those, you want me to go back to a $8 an hour job,
Come on.
and we still don't have. There's still not enough money for me to live or survive. So why would I go back to work to get a lower amount or get a lower pay? Then you cut off my unemployment. I have no choice but to go back to work. So now I have to go back to work, struggle, still don't have enough money to pay for my bills, my rent, or anything else. And that's it. So, of course, the job rate is going back up. And jobs are out there because now people have no choice but to go back to work. You cutting everything off.
The funny thing about that, James, is, well, not funny. It's so accurate. And Georgia, you were alluding to that they have, this system has the full expectation that we're going to go out here and give you the rest of our lives for $7.25 an hour. That's really what you have an expectation of. And
and
COVID.
then, I'm
go
sorry,
ahead,
and
James.
then think that $15 an hour is any better. $15 an hour here in Atlanta, just not even gonna pay my rent either. So I mean, let's be honest. We want a livable wage. $15 ain't it either, y'all. I'm sorry.
Come on, George.
Yeah, $15 an hour is a nice sentiment. But the truth is, when you have
Right.
CEOs who are making millions, you are paying your frontline workers pennies on the dollar.
Yep.
Pennies on the dollar. Where is the appreciation and the gratitude? And so what we see is that greed continues to perpetuate the system. And at what point do CEOs say that they are going to provide a livable wage to their frontline workers? And so it's unfortunate because the labor of those, and even through the pandemic, the people who put their life on the line, let's be
Yes.
clear,
Yes.
the individuals who work in the grocery store who allowed us to continue to still eat, they get paid minimal, while the CEOs, the distributors, the vendors of these large corporations, they can sit back and their whole system can keep running without them having to come face to face with people in the pandemic. And
That's
so people deserve to get paid more. But obviously that would cut into people's profits. And so then it really boils down to greed. It is greed that is perpetuating this system and driving homelessness and driving unemployment. And at some point, the tide has to turn, y'all. The tide has to turn.
Right.
Because James, people ain't gonna put up with this forever.
They're not. They're really not. And like you said, that $1,400, it was cute or whatever. But David brought up a good point in the chat. It's still a lot of people that didn't even get that money.
Yeah.
I know several people, like I said, still waiting on direct deposit, still waiting on the paper check. It's just so a lot of people still didn't get that money. So it's still in the same boat. And then y'all deciding that you want to end the moratorium on evictions. Of course, they extended that. You didn't have any choice because y'all know that people are bringing in enough money or don't have enough money to cover these things.
Look at how far this system will push us. James, you just brought up a magnificent point. They want to end the moratorium on evictions because the system is salivating at the opportunity to execute the justice system that they have come. No, they will gladly put people on the streets in the pandemic. They're waiting. And I'm not talking about the individual sheriff's deputy who comes and does no, I'm sure that probably breaks their heart because they probably are a decent human being. Maybe they're not. I don't know. But this system is waiting to grind the people. And not just the people, but I want to go specifically Black people. This system from top to bottom, it will grind up everyone. When we're talking about poverty, it doesn't care if you're Black or white. When we're talking about war, it doesn't care what color you are. And when we're talking about all the unemployment rate, but when we drill down for who we are as Black people, Georgia, it's compounded. That unemployment rate is blown up when we look at the unemployment rate of Black people in this country.
It's disheartening. And sometimes I think it's hard to maintain hope when you start to look at the statistics and you start to look at all the things that are piled against us. Right. And so I think that's why when I internalize these statistics about jobs, I try to find the silver lining and say, you know what, can this be the time where our nation starts to birth new corporations? Can we be the CEOs of the next big networks? And so I hope that instead of trying to figure out how to navigate the system, and instead of trying to figure out how to play the system, that we just excuse ourselves from the matrix and make our own system that's designed to work for us, right? And so I have had the opportunity to meet so many incredible entrepreneurs in the last year, people who have these ideas, who are just saying, you know what, I don't want to work anymore. If it means that I have to lower my quality of life in order to, adjust to the income of not having a job and just owning my own business, then so be it. And so there's also, I think for us, we've been conditioned to believe that we have to play a role in this capitalist society and that we need all of these things, in fact, that we don't actually need. And so you're starting to see some people who are backtracking their lifestyles to adjust to how many hours they really want to work and where they want to work. And so I find hope in knowing that there are alternative ways to exist and show up and find peace and joy outside of having to live within this system that is not built for us to thrive and succeed. And in some cases, not even built for us to live.
And James, I'm listening to Georgia as she break this. This is where I am in my life. Are y'all gonna deal in good faith with black folks or not? Because we'll work through your system, like Sister Georgia said. We will most certainly work through your system if you allow us. But if you're telling us that we're supposed to run after this system and do all these things and jump through these hoops and hurdles, only for you to change the rules at the end, you mean to tell me that you're going to change the rules as it pertains to voting after all this song and dance about democracy? That's what we're doing now. So I think America really needs to understand that black people, just like you said, Georgia, we absolutely are capable of maneuvering and operating in this system. But if the system is telling us that it's willing to flip on a dime, for instance, the track star,
Sha'Carri Richardson.
You mean to tell
Sha'Carri,
me that
yeah.
y'all are about Sha'Carri, Sister Sha'Carri? Y'all mean to tell me y'all about to let a bunch of white boys become billionaires off of weed? But because she tested positive for marijuana, that all of a sudden you want to start stripping her down? Because those two systems ain't the same, family.
They're not. Really not. And it's messed up because they let Michael Phelps get his ass out there and swim. But now it's a sister, a strong black sister is that. And she is very confident in everything that she does. And now all of a sudden, because that confidence shows and she gets on TV and she flaunts it and she puts it out there as she should, now you want to try to strip away her Olympic dreams. That's BS, man. It's really BS. For a positive marijuana test.
Sorry, that was my phone dropping in the middle of an important segment. I apologize, Georgia.
Yeah, I think that we know that there are systems that are designed, and it just can. There's every day there's new evidence. So for those people in this country who want to gaslight us and say that our claims are made up or this stuff is not happening, this is a perfect example. And I even think, you think about the people, as you said, Ben, who are profiting now on legalized marijuana, yet and still how many black men and women are criminalized and in jail because of marijuana. And it reminds me even of the crack and cocaine laws that were made. And that is another great example that you can point to and say, look, here you had the same drug, but culturally speaking, historically, white folks did their coke. And we know that the crack epidemic in the black community was real. And so the same drug consumed two different ways. And the penalty for it being consumed the traditional white way was lower than what it was in the black community. And that is how laws have been created to keep us oppressed. That is how this system has been utilized, where, hey, if you do it the white way, it's not that big of a deal. But if you do it the way that black folks do it, we're going to throw the whole book at you if we don't bury you under the jail. And so that same approach continues to exist even in this, where you're looking at this black woman who is doing something productive with her life, and here we want to throw her under and take everything that she's worked for, yet and still in the same breath you see white men who are building an empire on this very thing.
A huge ass empire.
I want to bring in Dr. Carl Mack into the conversation because, you know, I'm adjacent. I didn't grow up in the hood. I'm hood adjacent, right? I walked through the hood to get to school and to get to church. I didn't. I'm not a corporate America retiree, but I've been in corporate America close enough to see. And I've been around long enough to know that some of the richest and the most powerful people on the face of this planet doing a whole lot more than weed. And if they're going to try to take our sister down for weed, then perhaps we should find ways of letting everyone know exactly what the Silicon Valley is doing on a regular basis. But not that we have to throw them under the bus, because in general, these are adults. These are human. These are like Sha'Carri. She's an Olympic athlete, and you all want to punish her for weed? How childish is that? Dr. Hart, thank you for joining us. I'm sorry, Dr. Mack, Bruh Mack. Thank you for joining us.
Trying to think about the other Carl Hart.
Yeah, I'm thinking about Carl Hart because he would have a lot to say about this conversation. We've had him on the show, Dr. Carl Hart from Columbia University, who wrote the book about adult drug use. I don't want to get the title wrong, but it's about using drugs responsibly as an adult is the subject matter. And so we have the system that is so eager to penalize drug use, especially if you're black, while we have on the flip side, we have an entire world. I mean, don't even get over to Hollywood. They doing. I mean, cocaine is a hell of a drug, bro, Mac.
First of all, good morning to you all. And Sister Ford, when you were talking about the difference in the usage of cocaine, crack versus powder, right? You're right that the judgment was totally different, but in the area of how America deals with drug use, when you said that, the first thing that came to my mind is when the opioid crisis took off, right? See, at that point, it was how do we heal and get this crisis under control? Because the majority of folks who were victims of opioid arguably were white folks, right? So to that point, America wants to correct that. We want to address that drug use. But when it was crack cocaine infiltrated into our community, let's absolutely go and criminalize them. But the victims of opioids, they went after the pharmaceutical companies that were pushing that into the community. So, and again, when we're talking about marijuana use with this sister, think about how many states, how many cities are now trying to legalize marijuana to that point of trying to get rich. And guess who's one of the top spokespeople for a marijuana company? A former U.S. Representative, Boehner, right? Well, that's exactly what they're, the very thing that you all are talking about is we're watching it play out right now when it comes to marijuana. You want to criminalize African Americans for the use of it. But now at the same time, John Boehner?
Former Speaker of the House, John Boehner, Speaker of the House.
Wow.
John Boehner is now on the payroll of a marijuana company trying to legalize marijuana. Welcome to America. Like it or not.
I love it. I love it because
K's, okay.
Oh, you heard what I'm saying. You heard what I'm saying. And one
America
of the things,
with 3 K's.
Yeah, that's the reality. Because as we grew up in this country, I don't know about you all. I've been properly indoctrinated. I could recite the preamble to the Constitution in 2nd grade. They invited me to say the Pledge of Allegiance in 3rd grade, but when they saw how I rewrote it, they didn't let me do it. But we all grew up so indoctrinated in this country. And then you find out that this country that, as James Baldwin said, that you pledge your allegiance to has not pledged allegiance to you. And you realize that this country is quite literally a white supremacist system trying to decide whether or not it's going to give way to democracy, because that's what that's what January 6th was about.
Yep.
See, there's no question whether or not America was founded in white supremacy. The question is whether or not America is going to continue to proceed with white supremacy, because I would argue, and I think everyone on the screen would argue, that this country is not going to be able to stand if it continues in the ideology of white supremacy. In Georgia, I think that's why they are terrified of critical race theory.
Oh, absolutely. Because it jeopardizes everything that they've built this country on. And I can't help but think of the people who are so concerned about critical race theory. Why do we need to, tell our kids that our ancestors were oppressive, and what is that going to make them feel? All of the Karens in the school board meetings who are crying out and just pleading with superintendents to not allow this to be taught in the schools. And when I think about it, even it's so important for individuals to understand, maybe your ancestors didn't own slaves. Maybe your ancestors didn't author the bills to allow this legislation, this discriminatory legislation to pass. But your ancestors could have also been complicit. And I think that there is teaching in that to know, if you didn't object, if you didn't step up and do the right thing when it was unpopular, and knowing that that inherently is passed down culturally. We're not talking about necessarily DNA or, anything that's tangible, but the way that a people thinks, the traditions of a family, viewpoints, what the unspoken and the unwritten truths of who you are as a people, that stuff is passed down. And so it is very important for us to look ourselves as Americans in the mirror and understand who we are and how we got here, what role we played, even if that was not explicitly like we're doing something. Even if we're complicit, the people who were complicit, who sat back when those inequitable bills on cocaine and crack were created. How come nobody was in Congress that could look and compare those things and say, hey, this is not fair? Come on now. We know congressmen and women are not dumb, but they sit back and they're complicit, and being complicit is just as big as a problem. The old saying, if you're not a part of the solution, you're a part of the problem.
Part of the problem.
And, George,
absolutely.
And Sister Ford, to that point, now think about when Clinton and Biden and that group passed the 3 strikes law, right? Now, on its face, it would seem right. Anybody knows, look, I told you, don't do that. And as you do it more and more, the punishment gets progressive. So in a quintessential way of looking at it, all of us can understand that. However, when they passed that law, like you said, they ain't no dumb folks. So when they passed the law, they passed it as though there is absolutely no racism or discrimination in the judicial system. There's no difference in the way that a judge is going to view the same crime imposed on that a white person commits and any other person, a black person or any other person. The judge is going to be fair. There is no racism and discrimination in their minds. Well, I don't know what was in their minds, but I will say that when they passed the 3 strikes law, they passed it as though America was fair. So this is that blindness that you're talking about. They're acting as though America is this land of equality. There is no problem. If you commit the crime 3 times, the police are going to be fair with you. The judges are going to be fair with you. This system is fair. So everybody has 3 strikes. No, Black folks already came in the picture with 3 strikes. You just needed half a reason. The cops are not going to do anything illegal. They're not going to plant drugs and they're not going to unlawfully stop you. So even when they passed that law, they passed it with this mindset. that America is fair. So it goes back to your question, to your point about why we need to teach critical race. We need to teach America's story to show folks how just based on the color of our skin, they instituted these laws. They had this viewpoint of us that we were this demon, this criminal folks. And now that has replicated from yesterday into today. So that's one side of why we should teach it. But then from our standpoint, it's not just about understanding what they did, but the most important reason I want to see that taught is because I want to learn from the lessons of our ancestors. How did you progress us from chattel slavery to where we are now? What means, creativity, and mechanisms did you use to get us from those dark days into these days? Because they've done their job. If this was a relay, they at least got us in the race. Now, if we don't have the knowledge of their ingenuity, their fight, their determination, trust and believe, we are dropping that baton without that. So there's two aspects of it. Number one, let's show America what you did. Let's not be in denial about that. But number two, and to me, arguably more important, let us show ourselves how our folks took nothing and brought us to where we are. Case in point, when we, oftentimes refer to Frederick Douglass, what does the 4th of July mean to the slave? There's a lot of lessons in there. And I think we're kind of missing on that one, but we'll talk about that one too.
We talk about that one on the 5th of July. We're going to have an episode.
I'll say this, Brother Dixon.
Yes, sir.
I know I think I got an idea, not scientific in survey, but I think I got an idea of what most Black folks would say. What is the 4th of July to us today? Mm-hmm. You know, I'm on the opposite side of that. The 4th of July is everything.
The way I met you, met you, brother, is like you have no problem being on the right side of a controversy, on the truthful side of a controversy. So,
I'll say this. I'm not going to say I'm on the right side of it, but I will tell you this. Part of this critical race theory is to teach us and give us the tools to be critical thinkers. And I would say to you that most of the people that will reference what does the 4th of July have to do with slaves probably have never read Frederick Douglass's work. They don't know who Frederick Douglass was or what he stood for. So when you read it, trust and believe, as Black folks, we got every right to celebrate the 4th of July. But I'll save that history.
All right. We're going to say that for the 5th of July. Make sure you're here for the 5th of July episode while everyone else is going to be taking a break. The Benjamin Dixon Show will be here. As many people on the screen as can make it. And I'm hoping Rebecca Azor will be back from her vacation wherever. I didn't even ask her where she went because, that's grown folks. She's traveling the world and she'll be back on Monday, July 5th, I'm hoping. So we're looking forward to that episode because Dr. Mack, you're going to give us that other side of the perspective of what does the 4th of July mean to a Black person in this country. So we'll talk about that. We're going to take a break. James, I'm going to toss it to you. Let's take a quick break. On these breaks, I want you to be sure, listen, we are here for a marathon every morning. And there are some of you who literally are with us from 8 a.m. till 10:30. I'm going to be responsible and make sure we keep having these breaks so you can get up, go get your coffee, stretch your legs. I know some of our viewers, you need to go stretch your legs and walk around. And for those of you who don't, we're going to come into the chat room and say hello to you in the chat room while DJ Exclusive gives us a break and gives us some of that good music, as you say, James. It's in your hands.
We get down to the beat, y'all. We get down to the beat.
All right, y'all. Good morning again. Make sure tonight, if you have not already, patreon.com/liking-or-not, patreon.com/liking-or-not. It is going down tonight. Patron party, y'all. Your boy DJ Exclusive going to be on the ones and twos, going to do his damn thing like I always do. So make sure that we are there. David, check your Slack. I put the Slack, I put the time in there. So I don't know what we're doing this evening, but the time is in the Slack, David. I put it in there. But it's going to be off the chain. So make sure you're there. All my peoples already know that you're going to show up and come through. And make sure that you invite a friend. One or two. Not the whole group, okay? We don't like strangers too much. Anyway, y'all, we want to get these comments read real quick. Oh my gosh, my computer is moving. So here we go. New patrons, we have Deborah S. We have Vernon S. New Twitch subscribers. We have Andy from Ohio. What's up, Andy? Good to see you. She says and commented, hi everyone. And she has been subscribed for 8 months. Shout out to Andy. Mimosa Dragon gifted 1 subscription to Chris the Strain. Thank you, Mimosa Dragon. Mimosa Dragon also cheered 1,100 bits. Wow. It's a lot, man. We appreciate that. Zenculus cheered 500 bits and says thank you. And Joe Lewis rated us yesterday with a party of 31. Damn. Joe Lewis rated us with a party of 31, y'all. That's a whole lot. We appreciate you, Joe. And everyone, go check out their channel. And that's Joe Lewis spelled with a 0. Joe Lewis spelled with a 0. So make sure that you go rate their channel as well too, y'all. Let's like it or not. Y'all stay tuned. Give me that, give me that, give me that.
Just you to me, babe, I can guarantee. Yeah, I got what you need. Under the night sky, I want your eyes all on me. Don't tell me lies now, I always get mine.
Man, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat rooms, man. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all so much. Make sure that tonight you have your face in the place. Patreon party is going down. And also make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Like It or Not Show. Facebook, Instagram at Like It or Not Show. Y'all, man, you don't want to miss this. And I'm trying to get at least 50 tonight, man. At least 50 tonight for the Patreon party, y'all. Let's make it go down. The more the merrier. We love company. Let's get it, y'all. And shout out brother Chuck Diesel, hashtag boycott the Olympics. We cancel Olympics too, y'all.
To the side where you wanna go. Stop we can do, don't need to prove you know. Honey, I got what you want. Yeah. Under the night sky, I want your eyes so on me. Don't tell me no lies, I always get mine. I'm a little bit nice, I'm a little bit too consumed, but every part of my body is telling me to run away from you. Come a little bit closer, yeah, come a little bit closer, yeah. You're a little bit crazy. It's been days, but you never change. What's love got to do with it?
Make sure tonight you have your face in the place. You don't want to miss it. Bubba's got some tricks up his sleeves as usual, y'all. So make sure that you have your place at the Patreon party this evening. It's going down.
My ladies who got a brother that doesn't treat them right.
Put your fingers in his face and tell him bye-bye, I'm too fly.
To fly, bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. You're a little bit
Gwen Allen Karsten, thank you for your super chat. We appreciate you.
I'm scared you're gonna blow your fuse.
Come a little bit closer. Yeah.
I can really start over. Yeah.
In the back of my mind.
There's someone waiting on me. You're just wasting my time because you're scared and lonely. Not closure. Yeah, I can find some over. Yeah. So all my ladies who got a brother that doesn't treat them right, put your finger right in his face. Bye-bye, I'm too fly, bye-bye,
I'm too fly.
bye-bye, here's to the memories, here's to who used to be.
Brother Chuck D, so you better moonwalk on them haters, bro. I see you. I'm gonna sneak one more in real quick. Here we go.
All my ladies who got a brother that doesn't treat them right, put your finger right in his face and tell that man bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Sticks and stones may break my bone,
But your words don't hurt me.
no, you just can't hurt me.
No, I've been right
More
when I've been wrong.
It still can't hurt me. No, it just can't hurt me. No.
Shout out everybody. Make sure that you stay strong out there, yeah, man. Sticks and stones may hurt our bones, but the words will never hurt me. Always remember that, man. Oh, man, this is a Carrie interview on right now. Y'all make sure y'all stay strong, man. Keep 10 toes down and y'all stay up and do y'all damn thing out there. And be safe, man. Love y'all to mean it.
Man, life ain't a beach, it's a female dog. I'm staying 10 toes down, no, I still might fall. Oh yeah, now I done came through, knocking bitches off you walls. Loving people who persecute you, it's still something hard on my path and I'm on my feet. I know my faith strong, but my flesh still kind of weak.
We want to dovetail the conversation because there's some nuances there. There's a lot more that we want to cover. I do want to get into some of the, y'all know I'm born and bred on this national politics stuff, but the disparate treatment that Black people get in this country when it comes to drug use, drug offenses, and every other aspect of it is quite literally a funding mechanism for this entire empire. And it's being weaponized and monetized is the word I'm looking for on the backs of Black people, all the way to the point where we have a lot of these white boys about to make some money, Dr. Mack, that now they're saying Sha'Carri can't even participate in the Olympics. Dr. Mack.
So I want our people to pay attention to when they try and legalize marijuana. Now, as long as they know we're using it and they want to weaponize it against us, listen to how they describe the use of marijuana. Now, as they try to monetize it, listen to how they talk about, you'll hear phrases like medicinal use, all the positive aspects of it. So it harkens me back to the NFL. All of us know how violent that sport is. And there was a Black doctor, Ben Amalu, I believe, and I want to say September of 2009, who tried to warn the NFL about the results of concussions. And Paul Tagliabue and that big machine. See, and when I say a big machine, I want you to understand the NFL. Where I'm from, Mississippi, Sundays, it's the Bible Belt. In the South, right now, we're not in the South, but in America, Sundays were always for religious purposes. Even religious purposes have taken a back seat to Sunday because the NFL now owns Sunday. So this was a huge, huge machine. And when this brother, Bennett Amalu, tried to warn the NFL about the incredible, dangerous impacts of concussions, they did everything to demonize him, to shut him down. Now, ultimately, we're watching quote unquote concussion protocols, right? I would love for us, on Like It or Not, to get a former NFL player in. Because again, understanding how violent this sport is, those guys will tell you that when they get the kind of injuries, and they get them all the time, the NFL was shooting these brothers up with anything and everything they could to get them back on the field. And I remember watching features on some of these players. And you know what they said was the most effective drug for easing their pains? Marijuana. And now the NFL is taking another look at it. See, this is what they do. So now when you talk about our Olympic athlete who tested positive for marijuana, that's, you know, on one hand, when you want to monetize it, you can see the benefits of it. But when you want to criminalize this sister, now all of a sudden you want to demonize her for the same exact purposes. And this is that desperate treatment that we're talking about. And again, we need to wrap our arms around it. And I wish that brothers and sisters in a collective would take the spirit from Tommy Smith and John Carlos, right? You know, when those brothers had the courage at the 68 Olympics to tell the whole world with just a clenched black fist, I can come out here and represent America, and they want me in that red, white, and blue. But when I go back home, I'm a second-class citizen. I want you to imagine, family, all of us, try to imagine if all of those athletes wrapped around that sister and said, you know what? If you, Simone Biles, baby girl, I know what you're going after, but go embrace your sister and take the lesson. Take the lesson from Muhammad, you know, of Muhammad Ali with Jim Brown, Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Call it a summit for her. All you athletes, wrap around her and say, if she don't go, we don't go. I guarantee you, she goes.
They leave. They leave her alone.
This is that type of critical thinking. And I didn't trust and believe, family. I had no thoughts about this until I'm sharing it with you, but that's what history does. It takes those lessons from the past, because again, all of us know, Sister Ford, you can only imagine that if all of these black athletes wrapped around her the same way that brothers wrapped around Muhammad Ali at the Ali Summit and said, if you demonize her, we're not going. What do you think America would do, Sister Ford? What do you think they do?
Oh, they get behind her without a doubt. And because also we know that they value our blackness for their entertainment. And in sports, and looking at the advancement of almost every sport has come from the work of a black athlete, you know, and so they love how athletic we are. But they don't like our culture, and they don't like our humanity, right? And so absolutely, I think that if we saw that happen, if there was solidarity with other athletes of color who stood up to support her and to back her, they would have no choice, because what are they without us? What are they without us?
What are they without us?
And can you think about it, as many black athletes that there are from the U.S. team that are going, imagine if all of them stood behind Sha'Carri like that, like they should, like they supposed to.
But DJ, let's take it further, because I know we were talking about the media, right? Who's hosting? What network is hosting the Olympics? NBC. I guarantee you, NBC, the Olympic Committee, and everybody else would say, hey, it was for medicinal use. They will find a way to get this sister. But again, you know, one of the things, like I said, we always talk about what the problem is. So now let's offer the solution. So like it or not, black athletes of the Olympics, let's put this to you. I am challenging, not me, we are challenging you, our entire community. Show us how to be powerful. Take the lesson from the Ali Summit. All of you, Simone Biles, all of you, go wrap around that sister and just tell them, if she don't go, we don't go. In America, that's the way it is, like it or not.
Wait, look at him, man.
That's the challenge we're putting out.
That's the challenge.
That's the challenge, Sister Ford. DJ, that's the challenge. Put this out there on Twitter, that this is what Like It or Not has proposed to protect our baby girl. We're asking all athletes that are socially conscious, wrap around baby girl and tell America, she go or nobody goes, like it or not.
Strength in numbers. Absolutely. Because just think about it. Y'all really think about it. We have the power with everything that's been going on over the past year. Oh, we can change a lot of this stuff if we can have that moment in history like those brothers did back then. And we can come up and do it, man. Come on, y'all.
And DJ, that's what I'm saying. You know, again, that's the other side of the critical race theory. That is what I get that they're afraid to take a look at what they did, but they're afraid of the empowerment that we would now get the lessons that we get from our history. And this is a prime example of us being able to use lessons from the past to positively impact today, what is happening right before our very eyes. Those Olympics are taking place this month. Let's hurry up, family. But trust and believe. Let us surround her. If that happened today, I guarantee you tomorrow, all's good in the world. All's good with sister.
You said Simone.
And she just did an interview as well, too.
Yeah.
And I'm anxious to see. It happened so quick, and I'm glad that her team is on her like that. That happened yesterday. Boom, she already on doing an interview this morning. So,
Dwayne, run that clip from the interview. This is from the Today Show. Sha'Carri Richardson said, "Don't judge me because I am human. I just happened to run a little faster." Let's take a look at that.
Right now, I'm just putting all of my time and energy into dealing with what I need to deal with to heal myself. So if I'm allowed to receive that blessing, then I'm grateful for it. But if not right now, I'm going to just focus on myself.
You know, what would your message be to those who are considering that right now, who are thinking about that, and to your fans, you know, who have fallen in love with you and were so proud of your performance and maybe
we still
crushed
proud of her,
just as you are in that moment? What would you want to say to them?
I would like to say to my fans and my family, my sponsorship, to the haters too. I apologize as much as I'm disappointed. I know that when I submit a track, I don't represent myself. I represent a community that has shown me great support, great love. And to y'all, I failed y'all. And so I apologize for the fact that I didn't know how to control my emotions or deal with my emotions during that time. And what I would just leave with my fans, or I would just leave out there, is that, like I tweeted and said yesterday, I'm human. We're human. My statement, what I always say in my interviews, I want to be as transparent as possible with you guys, whether it's good, whether it's bad. But when it comes to Sha'Carri Richardson, it's never been a steroid. It will never be a steroid attached to the name Sha'Carri Richardson. The charge and what the situation was marijuana. I'm not encouraging anybody to do it. I'm not saying, oh, don't do it or anything like that. But if you choose to do things in your personal time or things like that, you just should know or beware of the consequences, or just know, or just find different ways to just cope or do what it is that will make you feel better. But sitting here, I just say, don't judge me, because I am human. I'm you. I just happen to run a little faster. I understand there's going to be people that still have something to say that don't necessarily understand. And
going to keep those Olympic dreams alive no matter what?
Yes. This is just one game. I'm 21. I'm very young. Unlike most, I have plenty of games left in me to compete in, and I have plenty of talent that backs me up, because everything I do comes from me naturally. No steroid, no anything. This incident was about marijuana. So after my sanction is up, I'll be back and able to compete, and every single time I step on the track, I'll be ready for whatever anti-doping agency to come and get what it is that they need, because this will never happen.
Sha'Carri Richardson.
You know what? I want to come around. I want to give everybody a chance to respond to that, because there's so many levels to that that I just want to see. Georgia, what's the first? What did you see in that interview there?
I saw a young woman who genuinely made a mistake. at 21, let's be clear, and to be playing in the Olympics, and also not knowing her background and her family and where she came from, and if culturally that's something that's a part of what her family does, right? And so all of those dynamics, I think, may have played a role here. And at 21, we all made mistakes, right? Even looking back to, I think about Woodstock, while white America wants to crucify this young, talented sister, you need to take a look at yourselves. Everybody done smoked a little weed. And, at the end of the day, that should not outshine her talent and her potential.
Brother Mac.
Okay. I saw a whole bunch of things in there that bothered me. At the top of the list that came to me were the words of our great legal activist, Charles Hamilton Houston from Howard University, that put together the dream team of Thurgood Marshall and crew that fought Brown versus Board of Education. And Charles Hamilton Houston said, "I would rather die on my feet than to live on my knees." That white press just made that sister get on her knees. And if you look at it when she started that, and they went back to the white reporter, when she said, "Well, if I have to miss this Olympics, I got plenty more in me." Sister, let me tell you something. Speed belongs to the youth. Ask Usain Bolt. You ask you ain't got many more Olympics. But the things that bothered me was that our baby girl, as they now got her on her knees, that smug look of, the white reporter. If you run that clip back, look at the white reporter. Now she's, yeah, baby, get on your knees. Get on. That's what rang to me. That's one of the things. Now, I don't know, I haven't done the analysis. But every time, I watched Martha Stewart the other day, and Martha Stewart's behind this marijuana thing, right? And she was talking about this feeling of euphoria that weed gives you, how it relaxes you. So I need somebody to show me the study in which weed is a performance enhancement drug. Because if it relaxes you and just puts you in that feeling, I don't think that's what you need to be running fast. Right?
You saying a word right there, brother.
Right. And then now, see, Sister Ford, I agree with you about what happened at Woodstock. But what happened in the Oval Office? I think President Clinton talked about smoking a little weed, huh? I think President Obama talked about smoking a little weed, huh? How many of them have smoked a little weed? So it ain't no big deal there. So those are the things that I saw in there. To watch my baby girl have to, they pushed on her knees like that. And trust and believe, were I her representative, my baby wouldn't have went in there like that. She would not have went in there like that. No, baby girl, we're not gonna get on our knees about it, So that's part of that. That's what I saw that bothered me. It was those elements, that smug look of, first of all, they want to put her on her knees, and then that smug look from the reporter of, yeah. No, I don't like that. And then again, from that academic study, show me where weed is a performance. And look at that look. Look at that look on it. Let's pop the taste out of her mouth. Like it or not.
you let Dr. Mac keep going, and he gonna bring the freight train. But truthfully, the context that you're saying there is absolutely spot on in the context of they made her surrender her fierceness.
Yes.
There's a fierceness and a confidence that this sister has been speaking to this system through her athleticism and her words and her confidence. And somebody did not like that confidence, James. Somebody saw that confidence and said, wait a minute, don't we have, because I guarantee you this system knew she was smoking weed before today. Matter of fact, you said that this is the Olympics and NBC and all these kind of things, like they would have worked it out. Of course. Do you think if this sister had not been speaking with the boldness with which she's been speaking, do you think they would have? I mean, Michael Phelps, come on, how many different people in this system literally? And to the one thing that you said, Dr. Mac, that I want to highlight, and then James, I want to hear from you on this, because it's the fact that listen, let's just say I had a medicinal use of marijuana. It slows you down. It don't speed you up. And this sister is saying, I am so dope that even when I'm high, when the universe is slowing down around me, like Martha Stewart was talking about, she's talking about the universe slowing down around. Everything is going in slow motion. Sha'Carri is like, what's going on with y'all? She's going to the Olympics.
And that's what I was going to tell y'all. Y'all got to listen to those contexts. And, you know, understand it looked like she was, she was bound to the white people. But, of course, that's to try to keep those endorsements that she has, because she did say sponsorships. So, of course, that agent made her say that, you know, so she can keep those sponsorships. But let's be honest and clear. From what I'm seeing with my sister right there, because I deal with a lot of people that look like my sister Sha'Carri and know her, she gives zero fucks. And I'm going to say that right now. You can look on her face. She was probably high when she did that interview. She don't care. She's going to do her goddamn thing. Let's be honest, y'all. I know it looked like what she said, but listen to her context clues. She said, the haters, I don't do no performance enhancement drugs, and y'all just mad because I'm running fast and y'all running slow. Simple as that. That's what I got from my sister. And black power to her, more power to her, because she's still, even if she ain't gonna be in these games, she's gonna still do her goddamn thing. So I know everybody in the chat upset with her. Man, F that goddamn white ass reporter who was trying to make her look bad, because even still Sha'Carri looking like, girl, I don't care about you. I don't care.
Tell us how you
like it or not. Like it or not.
No,
she was high as hell when she did that.
James,
Y'all can't tell me. That's why them eyelashes is like that, because she was high as hell. That's my sister. I know it. Give me straight city girl vibes. This is what I see every day. That's my sister. I know her, love her, and I know she's gonna be with the shits.
Why do you think she put? That's exactly why she got them eyelashes out there. Because
no, Georgia, why you didn't tell me
the cameras at that angle?
Well, we are
turned
the after party now.
Turned it up.
We in the after party now. If you want to get access to the after party,
I'll tell y'all, man. Hey, I'm like it and I like to have fun. I'm gonna keep it real. My sister right there, man. She got good things. And if anything, like we said before, we cancel countries, we goddamn cancel the Olympics. Everybody stand behind this girl, Simone Biles, and the whole gymnastics team that's carrying the Olympics right now. My God.
In other words, James said, "Puff, puff, pass."
Puff, pass.
Puff, pass.
Because you're messing up the rotation.
Okay. And plus, let's be honest, man. All of these other athletes,
now you're gonna pull Georgia into it. Now you're right. Georgia. Look, Georgia. You don't know that unless you've been there. Now, what are you saying, sister?
Never get high on your own supply.
Never get high on your own supply.
I've always been about my money. I
just heard about.
Let me say these sponsorships and these endorsements. Is she good? You know, she young, and I know Sha'Carri. She like, all right, let me save this little money right quick because it makes sure my money good and my money is straight first. And I'm gonna get out here and say a little punk ass statement, but please believe I'm gonna go to Twitter later on and tweet all about it and say it was fake as hell.
That's exactly what she said.
That's exactly what she said. That's why I interpreted that conversation.
You know what else I heard? You know what else I heard real quick? I also heard her. I heard her say, "I will play your game."
Yes,
I will. I'm gonna play your game. This is what she said.
I'm gonna play your game.
I'm gonna play your game, and I'm gonna tell the world. I'm gonna tell the world what you want to say. But she knows in her heart that she ain't got not a damn thing to apologize for.
Yeah, exactly.
But we. Hey, no, I'm gonna help the situation out. Listen, I used to be a preacher. And I've smoked so much weed in my lifetime, and I guarantee you, if I ever decided to go back to preaching, I'll tear down a place like TD Jakes, even if I was high. Y'all better leave Sha'Carri alone. And we need everybody. We need from LeBron James down to now. Maybe she's played her hand right, Dr. Mack. Maybe she played because she played the game and she did what her agent said. She gave it, and you heard that James, you're right. She slipped in there. These are haters. She slipped in there. I'm faster than y'all, even when I'm high. She slipped in there. You won't find no performance enhancing drugs in my system. She slipped that all in there. So she got right. She got her justice off of her chest, even though she played the game. The question of the hour is, will they leave her alone, Dr. Mack?
Well, listen, I'll say it again, and I wish that we let this not wish. Again, let this be our message to every socially conscious athlete on that team. Because again, and I appreciate the fun that we had with it, and it's cool in the game, right? But the other thing is, when I looked at that interview, I'm looking at a baby girl who has worked her whole life to get to this point.
Yes.
And now these racist son of a guns are going to try to take baby's dreams and tell her to defer her dream. No. This will not be a dream deferred. And this dream does not have to be deferred. If Black athlete, this is your call to action. LeBron, this is your call to action. LeBron, I don't know you, brother, but I love what you do. I love that socially conscious aspect of you. I love when you spoke up for Black Lives Matter. And I know I'm leaning on you. I know we leaning on you. I need to lean one more time. And I want you to look at me and say, Brother Mac, you ain't heavy. We got baby girl. And go get her, LeBron. Galvanize our troops and surround this baby. Let her dream not be deferred. We don't need that. Baby dream, her dream does not need to be deferred. Now, let's assume that she had a performance. Let's say she was a Lance Armstrong kind of sister, blood doping in that kind of thing. Now, see, baby girl, I ain't standing behind you for that. But Puff pass, give her a pass.
Exactly.
Or if you come and show me where marijuana is a performance-enhancing drug, you show me that. And when you show me, I don't want to trust your white doctors for it. I want Bennett Amalu, the same guy who did the concussion protocol. I want him to give me the test. I trust him. Okay. That's the call to action. Let this not be an example of a dream deferred, because again, we can complain about it, but here is our solution. Like it or not, Black athletes, here is our solution. So LeBron, Simone Biles, all of you, and LeBron, I know you said I ain't on the Olympic team. Go and tell them you want to be on it. They'll change their mind. You the king.
Yeah.
They'll change their mind.
Right.
Yep.
So that's our call to action for you all.
James.
Oh, I was just going to say, well, let me speak on the experience that weed is not a performance enhancing drug. I mean, let's be honest, y'all. Y'all can look at these big black ass lips and tell them I used to smoke. It's okay. Weed is not a performance enhancing drug. It don't make you want to run fast at all. If anything, you're gonna be moving slow as hell.
You gotta rotate how you consume.
It depends on what your performance is. It does enhance some performance.
Well,
I might offer to you that if your performance is critical analysis skills, it probably is a performance enhancing drug.
Oh, okay. Now you're absolutely right, Ben.
If we're talking about critical analysis, and see, I'm going to be honest with you. One of the reasons I think they so scared of weed, they've been vilifying weed since like the 1919s, talking about it was going to make your women sleep with black men. The reason they've been so afraid of marijuana is because they know, like they do it. And they know they know everything, every idea that ever came to them that they made any of their money off of. They probably were doing more than weed. They probably were
Reefer Madness. That movie.
They were
Reefer
probably
Madness.
Listen, if they're in Silicon Valley, there's a good chance they're microdosing mushrooms. All right, so don't talk to me about this sister and weed. Don't, Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have said it, and they will find any reason to crucify a black person. Yes. And it breaks my heart because she's just 21. Right. She's just a baby.
Just a baby. Absolutely.
She's got her whole life ahead of her. And so it's just unfortunate that she's going through this now. But Ben, I think you pointed out something critical. Like when you read between the lines, she said, I'm going to play your game. Mm-hmm. And so once you start to understand this system, then you know how to maneuver through it. And so she got caught up in it. And I think that it is going to be that lesson that allows her to bounce back. And most times, let's be clear, because our people, we are a resilient people. Right?
Resilient people. Yeah.
Our bounce back game ain't nothing to mess with.
No joke
at all,
I think
Georgia.
That what this is going to do is just going to give her that extra little bit of fuel, and you don't know what was fueling her before, fueling her to practice a little bit longer, to show up early, to go the extra mile, right? And so I think that this is just going to be added fuel to the fire. And you don't know, in a year, 2 years from now, they may have created a monster, so.
Go ahead, Doc Mac.
And Sister Ford, I so hear you. And without question, believe every part of that. But when it comes to sprinting, time is not on your side. And it's amazing. When you're at the apex of it, that's why a sister like Allison Felix is just so remarkable, right? But time is not on your side. And again, I think for us as a people, in that bounce back that we got, which it's such an eloquent, and if you don't mind, I want to use that going forward. Such a thing. But I do want to see our brothers and sisters, our entire community, pull an Ali Summit for her and wrap around her and say, you know what, tell you what, NBC, then you're going to be broadcasting everybody else, and then bring in the supplemental players for the U.S. because we ain't going.
Bring up the bench. Let the bench
bring up the colonized team.
Bring up the no. We're gonna leave those other players alone because some of them are dope. But I'm gonna direct. Let's direct, and we're gonna go to a quick break. I want to direct all of our call to action to the people who deserve the ire of our force, and that is anybody who would stop this young sister from performing this year. Period. If there's any question in the mind of this system, whether or not y'all are going to let this sister perform, and we on this show, we don't have this power, but we do have the power to call on our brothers and sisters who literally make this system. Congratulations, America, you are leading in the Olympics because of Black people, and so now Black people are calling on the other Olympians, the other star athletes, to cover our sister and not let this be a dream deferred, as Brother Max said, because time is not on your side when we're talking about Olympic athletes. Any of us over the age of 23 can tell you and testify to that. So that said, we're calling on Olympian athletes and superstar athletes to leverage your power, because this country can't win nothing without you. So cover that sister and make sure that she's at the Olympics this year. I think that's what we need to do.
Like it or not, that's what we do.
DJ, go ahead, Dwayne. Okay. Yeah, let the people hear you.
So the reason that she said that she was smoking is because she had just found out from a reporter that her mother had passed away. So that's why she was smoking.
And they did just say that her mom recently passed, so that makes sense.
Yep. And
I think that happened maybe a couple of weeks ago. So I mean, marijuana stays in your system.
She said she went into an interview thinking it was going to be a normal interview, and then on the interview, the reporter, complete stranger, told her that her biological mother passed away.
No, they did not.
Yep.
No, they did not do that to that. Listen. At the risk of turning this into a plea for you to support independent media, how dare whoever that journalist was sees that as an opportunity for damn it clicks, and then now flip it because of the trauma that you caused her. Now penalize her for her trauma, and then now she has to apologize for that trauma. Y'all must be out y'all damn minds.
Yeah,
y'all leave this sister alone.
And that was her first trial. And just to give feedback, her grandmother was the one that raised her. Her and her mom, I don't think had the tightest relationship, but they were at least building it back. And, they were getting back to a good point. And I think she didn't know that her mom was sick and was ill, but for a reporter to bring that up to her and not let somebody hear that from her family, that's crazy. That's the reporter's responsibility.
Pull up crazy, man.
It's really not.
I'm gonna say this to you right now, and you never heard this from me, but I've gone to this level sometime. Right now, I'm hot as fish grease.
Don't hurt him, Hammer.
Hammer, hurt him, please. Please. God, man, this is insanity. Look.
Yeah.
Again, we're complaining about it, but I think all of us are serious. To all of our Olympic athletes that represent this team, surround our baby. That is what we're asking of you. We're asking that of you. Like it or not,
we're gonna do one better.
In this position, you got that platform to help her.
Let's do one better. To help her. Let's do one better, because we want to make sure that we're heard. Because while as amazing as this show is, it doesn't have the reach that we can get by putting this call to action to work right now. If you're watching, there are a couple of 100 people watching. I need everyone. We're going to take a break. When we come back on this break, this is the call to action break. Yes, sir.
Real quick. I just saw this now. Richardson, who won the 100 at Olympic trials in 10.86 seconds on June 19th, accepted a 30-day suspension that ends July 27th, which would be in time to run in the women's relays. So she's still running.
You know what?
I don't even want her to take the suspension. What you think, Doc?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. I'm not one for compromise. But see, I'm going to believe, you can call it what you want to, but we going to, Georgia, DJ.
What Georgia saying?
All of us put a rose up, a symbolic rose up, and let's smell it, because somebody on the Olympic team was listening to Like It or Not. And they said, we're going to make up whatever we need to, but that's just to get there, because NBC just said, did you hear what they was talking about on Like It or Not? God, damn it, get that sister in there. Fucking make it normally it's a 31-day suspension, but they was going to be running on the 31st day. They said, make it 30 days. But get her. They talking shit on Like It or Not.
Dwayne,
Georgia, smell your rose. Come on, Georgia. Just put it up like, smell, Georgia, please.
Real quick, Dwayne, before we go to break, Dwayne.
Yeah, even though she may be back eligible before the positive test, they disqualified her trial results. So she won't be able to participate in the 100 meters at the Olympics because basically her winning the trial was nullified. Her winning that trial was nullified by the positive test result.
Okay, I tell you what, then this is what we're going to do on this break. On this break, this is our call to action break. I need everybody who's watching, everyone who's listening, to get on your social media, particularly Twitter, and I don't want you to tweet. Now, there's two tweets that I want you to do. One is towards other Black Olympian athletes, and I want you to do it respectfully, kindly, and just don't. They are not the targets here. They are people who can help us do it. But if you go to them with venom, which sometimes we kind of do, then it's going to backfire. So don't go to them entitled thinking that they owe us anything, but go to them asking them and saying, will you stand with us to help reinstate Sha'Carri? Do that on this Twitter break. Go ahead.
But Brother Ben, let's call it the Shakira Summit, AKA Ali Summit. We're going to call it the Shakira Summit. Let's call it that. Let's ask Black athletes to participate in the Shakira Summit. And we're calling it that, to take the example from the Ali Summit, where we surround this sister and support her to get into the Olympics.
The Sha'Carri, we'll call it hashtag Sha'Carri Summit. And if people want to know why, it's because of what you just said, Dr. Mack, because of the Ali Summit and the context of it. Here's the last thing before we go to break. And again, I want you to take this action during this break. Don't change the channel. Take action. But I want to get this from Rebecca, who is on vacation and digesting this entire story. And this is what she said. She said, I want one of y'all to smoke weed and then tell me how fast you can run.
Right. Exactly.
I'll let you know today.
I'll let you know. Well, darn it. I picked a hell of a day.
I'll let you know later on. I ain't running no goddamn well. I got 2 hip replacements. I ain't running no well.
Listen, when we come back, we're going to the
blood pressure.
When we come back, we're going to the after party. After party is where we cut the filter off. Right now, my kids are watching. They're not going to be watching in the after party. Our apologies to all of the supporters, all the patrons. We have gone like 3 weeks without an after party. But as you can see, we were giving birth to something. So now we're going to take a break. On this break, everybody go to social media, hashtag Sha'Carri Summit, and tweet very respectfully to Olympian athletes, asking them, Black ones particularly, will they stand with this sister? Because there's no reason she should be disqualified when the substance that she used, never mind the fact that there's a lot of white people about to become billionaires over it, but tell me if you can smoke it and run fast as she can. No, you can't. Trust me. We'll be back right after this.
Right. Yes, indeed. Shout out to my sister Sha'Carri, y'all. In honor of Sha'Carri, you're going to drop a gem just for her, Sha'Carri, because let you know that you are what, sister? Still damn fly.
I could really use a change of scenery. Yeah, everybody's smoking all the greenery.
Smoking all the greenery, y'all. Let's go.
Down to me, but I'm still fly.
I'm still fly. Oh, no.
I'm still fly. I'm still fly. Let's go. It could all be worse. I could be a hater like you. It could all be worse. Trying to make the man, but that poison's gonna kill you.
And man, I love y'all too, man. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Make sure that you hit that like button, y'all. Hit that like button. Justice, good morning. Lisa Noel, good morning.
I'm free.
Can't nobody take me.
Here and now. It's my time to run.
Shout out Marcus, y'all. Make sure that you go follow his page, man. Shout out Marcus Farrell in the chat, brother. What's going on? Good morning. Let me get one of them gummies, bro. And you know what? Bump that. Everybody, all my, and this is so terrible to say, but we're going to the after party, y'all. All of my smokers in the building, y'all drop them trees down there. Y'all roll one up for our sister Shakari today. We gonna smoke for her since she can't smoke herself, y'all. Shakari, sister, we got you.
And rising to the top was my destiny. And you can see whatever from behind me, but I'm still fly. I'm still fly, I know. I'm still fly. I'm still fly.
Brother Marcus, love you too, brother.
If you won't be a word, we can be a hater like you. Supposed to make the man, but that boy is gonna kill you.
From the inside out.
It's time to say it with your chest now. Say it with your chest now. I'm young, I'm free. Can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to ride out. It's my time. It's my time to ride. I'm young, I'm free. Can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to ride it out. It's my time. It's my time. It's my time to ride it out. It's your time. Whoa. If you're on the bus, say yeah. Yeah. If you're on the train, say yeah. Yeah. If you gotta walk, say yeah. Yeah. Everybody's going somewhere. Yeah. Young or old, I really don't care. Yeah. Life's never really been fair. Yeah. So put your fist up in the air.
True the Dragon, good night.
Yeah. I'm young, I'm free. Can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to ride it out. It's my time.
Shout out our brother Nick Eden. We ain't heard this song in a minute, so we gotta ride out with it, y'all.
I'm free. Can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to ride it out. It's my time. It's my time. It's my